Good morning. This is Dave.
Paul Stanley here.
Paul Stanley, good morning. How you doing?
Sorry to be late, but that's what happens when you have a 4-year-old.
Congratulations on the 4-year-old, by the way.
Well, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 21-year-old.
Family first. Have you heard about Rod Stewart's kids? They're like from 5 to 56.
Yes, he was joking to me about that because we live near each other. When I was telling him once about how many children I have, he said, I think he said something like, yeah, I've got, he said, we didn't have television back then.
Hey, San Antonio, you love your Spurs, you love great food, and you love the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band Kiss. All three converge on the AT&T Center this Friday night as Paul Stanley replaces Kobe Bryant.
Well, let's see if Kobe Bryant can replace Paul Stanley. That's more the question.
That ain't going to happen. You're doing the Star Spangled Banner this Friday night, Paul.
Yeah, it's so interesting because the Star Spangled Banner sometimes turns into more like a look at me gymnastics tryout rather than singing the melody that was originally written. I go crazy sometimes when I hear people going up there and basically what we call it a showboating. Instead of doing what you're supposed to do, you go up and turn it into about you. And the Star Spangled Banner isn't about me; it's about us.
It is.
So I sing it the way it's supposed to be sung. And frankly, in this case, being in San Antonio and times being what they are, I want everybody to sing with me. We should be singing for the first responders. We should be singing for the vets. We should be singing for the active military, and we should be singing for the victims of terrorism. I invite everybody to join me. It's going to be televised, and this isn't about me showing you the notes I can hit. This is about us sending a message. As
a nation here in Military City, USA, too.
You bet. And one thing that's always been important about Rock and Brews for us is that when we open our doors the first time, we, almost to a restaurant, open it first to the vets and to the military and the first responders and feed them more as a thanks, and if nothing else, to spotlight the fact that freedom really isn't free. It's free to most of us who are born into it, but there are people who sacrifice everything to make it possible for us. So those people don't usually get a fair shake. Those people don't get what's coming to them, and we think it's very, very important to spotlight those people, to thank them. Hey, you know better than I do. When you see people in the military on the street, go over and say thanks.
Rock and Brews, you're opening your brand new restaurant, the first one in Texas, this Friday at the AT&T Center.
Rock and Brews really is unlike anything else. I mean, we've opened, I think we've got 11 or 12 now. They open so quickly, and they do staggering business. They're not Kiss restaurants. They're really these fabulous places that serve between 80 and 100 craft and microbrewery beers. So you're not just drinking carbonated soap suds, guzzling. You're drinking great beer, and the food is off the hook. And it's not franchise slop. This is kind of food, if you could make it home, everybody would be eating at your house. And it's also great staff there, and it's kid friendly, pet friendly. We try to make these indoor-outdoor, really places that, in a sense, are built on classic rock, in the sense that that's the music that we all grew up listening to and still listen to. So this place shouldn't be confused with any place that looks like a funeral parlor and hangs dead people's clothes on the wall. This is a live celebration of everything that we are and stand for. Part of what it was born out of was, as I started to have kids, I started to think, well, gee, if I go out to lunch with my kids, well, I guess I'm going to be eating stale pizza served by somebody dressed like a rat.
Right.
So the idea was, you can have great food, and at night, obviously, when the kids are in bed, it's a great place to hang. The staff is always awesome. We make sure that this is your Rock and Brews. Every Rock and Brews is different in the sense that each one has the touchstone foods and everything that you expect. And once you've been to one, you'll know what we're talking about. But then each one pays tribute to the area that it's in. We're not coming in and taking over an area. We're becoming part of the scenery. We're good neighbors, and we're good for the community, and we try to do everything we can.
So when you go to a Spurs game, you go to a rock concert, when you go to the rodeo, you're going to be able to enjoy rock and brews every time you go to the AT&T Center.
You bet, and I think you'll find that it's well worth enjoying. It's great food, great atmosphere, and great suds.
Paul, will fans be able to meet you Friday night at your restaurant?
Yeah, I'm going to be there for a while, and I always try to make sure that I'm at the opening of every one of these because I believe in them totally. They are great restaurants, and by no means are they KISS restaurants.
And your buddy Gene's involved in this too, right?
Yeah, Gene is involved. We're both not going to be there because the space isn't big enough for the ego.
What do you still want to learn? Now, Paul, you've done it all. You've basically done it all. You're an artist. You love to paint. You love to create. What's next on your landscape?
Yeah, I love every day. At the end of every day, I'd like us all to think, boy, we accomplished something, and tomorrow is another challenge. Everybody faces their own challenges, and it's really what we make of ourselves. I was born deaf in one ear with a deformity of my ear, and didn't have an easy time growing up, but lots of people don't have easy times growing up. And, the challenges in life are to stop seeing yourself as a victim and to see what you can make. And, we're the only ones who ultimately pay the price of seeing ourselves as victims or moving on. So, to me, life has been incredibly blessed, and I don't know what's next. I've got an amazing family. I've got an amazing band. I've got all kinds of things always on the horizon. So that's what life's about.
What do you want to tell kids who may feel terminally unique? Maybe you felt, I'm different. I'm not worthy, man.
Well, everybody should remember that we're all different in one way or another, and we have a choice in life. And look, it's not the same for everybody. Anybody who tells you that it's the same, that the playing field is level, it's not. It's going to be harder for some of us than for others to succeed, and it's going to be harder than other people to accomplish what we want, but we can do it. And, it's always worth it. How hard you're willing to work for something will let you know how much it means to you. So when you get those rewards, they're well worth it. We're all different in our own way, and we choose the path we take.
And everybody's got a gift. Thank you for sharing yours. You are heading to Germany and Europe soon. What is your favorite place in the world that you've been and you'd love to live?
I love Australia. I love Europe. It's a spectacular group of countries. Australia's always been spectacular and amazing. The food's great. The women are great. The people in general are just terrific. I would urge everybody, although I don't want to congest Australia, but at some point, make your way to Australia. Some people go, I'd rather go to Europe. Australia is going to be just like America. It's not.
No.
It's not. It's an incredible country. So that's always my first choice, and Europe is spectacular.
I spent a month in Australia 1 week. It was a great experience back in the 80s.
Yeah, I was there in the 80s too, and it was, it's always been spectacular. And the first time I went there, I thought about, gee, I could live here.
Right. And early San Antonio memories from the 70s. Do you remember San Antonio when we first got here?
Was Freeman
Coliseum.
Yeah, Freeman Coliseum. I remember some great times, and I remember, the people have always been just off the hook, and Riverwalk certainly wasn't what it looks like now. The town has always been thriving and always been so alive. So, people tend to think about the big cities first, but some of the cities that are considered secondary is ridiculous because places like San Antonio are what make the country tick.
Well, thanks for being a part of the renovation of our AT&T Center. Do you have a favorite NBA team at this moment?
If you're lucky enough to be near the court, you see it from a whole different perspective, because when you watch it on TV, you almost dehumanize it, and you don't realize everybody on those teams, the player who you think sucks is phenomenal.
Right.
So just to watch the athleticism, I don't really have a a favorite team. I'm not one of those people who roots for one team. I'm in awe of them all. And Spurs, the Spurs Lakers. That's we're at the end of a dynasty, and we're at the end of greatness with Kobe leaving. So it's very cool to be there.
All right, we'll see you Friday night. Paul Stanley, thank you for thinking of San Antonio when it came to the first Rock and Brews in Texas.
Hey, my pleasure, and what an honor.